Yeah, I'm hoping to one day get like to Stanley levels of fame, or legally I have to change my name to my pseudonym.
I don't know what I would change mine to, because I don't even like my first name.
Ferguson.
Jared Ferguson.
Yeah.
Burt Reynolds, where'd you come from? I was always here.
It's funny. It's bigger than a regular hat.
That's my favorite skit on that show.
Yeah. Okay. So filmmaking. Do you want to talk about like big picture stuff or nitty gritty, or what do you want?
Anything you do and anything you want to do, and yeah.
Okay. So, an approach I have to filmmaking, and I mean, I think it all starts, of course, with the story, but the question a lot of people I think need to ask themselves is, does this have to be a film, or should this be a film? Because there are certain things that I think work great as comic books or graphic novels that don't really work on a filmic level. I mean, we've all seen bad adaptations of good source material, and at the same time we'll see, oh, they had their heart in the right place, but there's just like a book adaptation, like a prose novel. It's like if there's so much dense material in there, and you can read a book and get all the characters' thoughts exactly the way the author wants you to interpret them. You get an actor on screen, we all read people differently. So if one person thinks, man, this actor looks really really upset at this point, then, well, I didn't think they looked upset. I thought that they just looked, just substitute whatever emotion could be mistaken for that. There we go. Yeah, and so I think the main question is, like, would this be something you actually want to dedicate, at least if you're making a feature film, at least 90 minutes, if not more, to your life watching? If that answer is like, no, then just adapt it into another medium, possibly. But, okay, apparently I scared the crap out of Dylan with that mind-blowing statement.
He just disappears half the time.
Well, you know what? I'm not going to judge. I've been told I'm very frightening. Well, okay, I was in Halloween makeup, but anyway. So,
I saw that picture. Yeah.
Oh god, yeah, that was. Actually, I can go on and on about that, but let's focus on filmmaking. So once you figure out, like, okay, this story is cinematic. It has got to be a movie. I think at that point, if you say, well, you have to look at what your talents and skill sets are. Now, apparently, like, I like to take a shotgun approach to filmmaking and have my hands in everything. Okay, I was thinking about this for the panel, and probably one of the biggest influences just on myself as a person is the movie Galaxy Quest.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
see, I've seen that movie, so I can actually appreciate what you're saying.
But okay, for two reasons. One is the famous quote of "Never give up, never surrender." I also say that doing menial tasks, like, oh god, I really don't want to do these dishes. Never give up, never surrender. Hey, it gets me through the day, guys. But also, okay, the bit, the low point in the movie when like the bad guy Saris is like, grab Tim Allen, and he's like, "Do you take me for a fool, Commander? That the commander doesn't know every bolt, every weld of his ship." That always really struck a chord with me, and I'm like, okay, as a filmmaker, as a creator, I don't just I do work with people and trust them, but I'm like, as a creator, I'm like, if I've come up with a story, I want to be involved in it. Not like lording over as in working, like looking over someone's shoulder while they work, because everyone's an artist too in their own right, and you need to respect that. But I'm the type of person where I just, as a creator, and particularly a filmmaker that has so many components going on, like as we were talking last night, I can draw a cool looking character. Well, I think I can draw a cool looking character, design one, but in terms of actually making that costume come to life, not a clue. Thus, they have wardrobe people who will say like, "Okay, Eric, what you're drawing can't exist in reality. You're not real, man." But But
I was gonna say that's like an entrepreneur, a business owner. Like you don't want to micromanage, but you should know everyone's job.
exactly, yeah. It's like for example, the Spider-Man 4 fan film that I've got going on. Like I know how to work Blender a bit, but we have got Greg. I see your progress with the video game and things like that.
Slowly, yeah.
Oh yeah, Blender's got a lot more user friendly lately. At least from when I first downloaded it. Now I'm like, okay, I am working shaders, and now this is starting to look like a thing.
I can make a donut with frosting, but I can't add the sprinkles. So.
You'll get there, man. You'll get there. But my thing is like we've got more talented visual effects people on that movie than myself. But I think it behooves you, as especially an independent filmmaker, to know something of the technology. So, like, if I don't want to give people impossible jobs, then say, well, you got to figure that out. I'm like, all right, maybe if I was employed at like by Kevin Feige, and I could just say, oh yeah, you have an entire department dedicated to making these storyboards photoreal. But I think especially on an independent level, you've got to know people's job. Like you said, don't micromanage, but manage. And another thought I had prepared too for independent filmmaking is genre and marketplace. And absolutely, I nor anyone else can tell you what film you can make. Because if you have enough time, effort, persistence, I think you can make just about any movie. Quality varies. I will say that. I mean, like, yeah, you could, in theory, with enough time, make like, no, I do not have realistic expectations. But like, yeah, with enough, with enough time, like there's this fantastic Lord of the Rings fan film that was made. I think over in Europe, UK, I forget exactly, but for the budget, for the effort, it was pretty damn good. And grading a little bit on a curve, it's not going to be Peter Jackson's work.
It's like have you seen any of those Star Wars like the really good Star Wars fan ones? Like some of them phenomenal. Like you'd mistaken them for a trailer. Like
like a trailer for a Nightwing show that was like a web show, and that looked awesome. So I was like, wow.
Well, yeah, I saw I think like a 30-minute or so Moon Knight fan film that I saw that looked really good.
That would be cool.
It's like, slickly, professionally shot, good acting. And, Moon Knight himself looks pretty cool. As well, a little Power Ranger-y, but then again, I'm a huge fan of that series. I can see where people would be put off by it. But at the same time, I like, that is great. They put their heart and soul into it. But yeah, I think if you've never made a film before, make a short, just to see, even if you like it. Like oh my God, when I first started filmmaking, I was trying to make these like epic fantasy films on like DV video. It kind of gives you an idea why I never post anything like that, because it is so freaking embarrassing to see like junior high to high school kids, pretending to like be like Vikings or whatever like that. I honestly don't know how I talked anyone into ever hanging out with me, but yeah, I think if you do like
works well.
Like if you do like deciding that your story needs to be told filmically, I would say watch the best and worst in the genres. The worst mainly because you can feel really good about yourself that you didn't make that. But then again, I think to myself, as bad as some movies are, if they've got legitimate distribution, then they're a step ahead. And taking a page from Todd McFarlane's book, he was like, I met him at Emerald City Comic Con. I was like, oh, I never looked at the best artist. I always looked at the worst artist who was still getting work and thinking, hey, I could draw a little bit better than that guy. Give me his job. And then, of course, you build up from there. So, like, I don't feel like calling out any crappy filmmakers, even though I'm looking at a show full of them. But I'm saying I'm going to say right now, if you want to make a movie to sell, I mean, just to sell, like, yeah, you can do it, but it's probably going to be packaged along with 2 other crappy movies. That worst movie ever, in my opinion. Oh my God, I do not want to lose friends, but I will answer that question later on. But I'm saying that definitely lead with your heart. If you want to make a really cool sci-fi space opera movie, find a creative way of telling that. Like, if you want to have armies clash with each other, I'm like, good luck. There are definitely ways to do it with visual effects and technology, or you could tell it from, like, I don't know, maybe it's a small outpost under siege and we don't see the enemy forces a lot. You can get kind of a cool siege Rio Bravo thing and make it a character drama. It only needs a few actors, good costuming, and production design, but primarily one location. And okay, I'm going to write that now. Actually, it's a really good idea, but I'm saying there are ways to tell every kind of story, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, you don't need to show the Battle of 5 Armies. You can show, like, the individual little fights scenes, and, like, all of a sudden you've just saved tremendous amounts of.
Right. Yeah. Like if you're looking at, I like to look at like independent movies that have. Actually, I look at cult classics more than anything else, because, like,
Never give up, never surrender. Yeah. That is a cool classic, though. Like Mystery Men.
Yes, I do love Mystery Men. God, I wish that was a franchise. Apparently, no one got along though behind the scenes, and that's kind of sad.
Oh, I didn't know that, but I love that movie. That's probably one of my favorite movies. I found the VHS of that when was it? It must have been last Christmas. I found it, and I put it in the VHS player that I hadn't used in over almost a decade, and I forgot, like, that you have to, like, that I pressed play. It was at the end of the movie. I'm like, oh, and I hit rewind, and it's rewinding. And my brother's like, you're supposed to hit stop first and then rewind. I'm like, oh yeah, like, I forgot. It rewinds faster when you stop it. Like, I forgot, like, what VHSs do. And when it started up, it had Blockbuster commercials in the beginning, and I'm like, this is the most 90s. Yeah, was that the 90s?
Yeah, it was the 90s, because they were like
the most 90s video I've ever seen. Like, just perfect, all of it encapsulated.
Yeah, I love that, because, like, that movie is like making fun of the Joel Schumacher movies of, like, Batman, and I think they nailed it.
100%, yeah.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, looking as you brought up at that battle scene, with, like, the Battle of 5 Armies. Okay, if you look at a movie like Highlander, the first one, hugely ambitious. Greg, have you seen that?
Which one?
Which one? Have you seen any of them?
Battle of 5 Armies? I've seen all of them.
Highlander.
Oh, Highlander? No, I have
I've
not
seen the Battle of 5 Army. I've seen all of them. There's one.
Oh, no, I was wondering what movie.
No. Okay, Greg. So, yeah, check out.
I know what Highlander is, but I haven't watched it. No.
Okay, my recommendation: just watch the first movie, and then pretend nothing else exists.
Good idea.
Yeah, and oh god, I was, like, so into it. I was pretending, like, when I was a kid, that all the movies were great, And then I finally saw Highlander: The Source when it came out. I'm like, I couldn't even, just lie to myself anymore. I will say, though, they were the first
one movie, please.
So you're not the only one, so that's good.
Oh my god. Highlander is about is it Scotland? Is that where it is?
Yep, Scotland.
It's about this basically. I'm trying to remember. The Highlanders are basically they're not invincible. They're immortal. Die, but if you kill another Highlander, you become more powerful, and the only way to kill them is to behead them. And so basically, you go through. There's this one Highlander who's trying to kill all the rest, so he can become the most powerful being. And there's another Highlander who's basically just trying to stop bad Highlanders like that. And every time he does, he ends up getting even more powerful because he has to kill the guy who's been killing a bunch of guys. And like the whole thing is like there can be only one, because in the end, if there's only one Highlander left, then there's no way to kill him essentially because he'll be too powerful and there's no other immortal to outlast him.
Exactly. And it should have just been one movie. But
Sean Connery in that?
Yep.
Yeah. See, I know things. I just haven't seen it.
You watched the show, right?
Of course I did, yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, the show was pretty good at times. Okay, so and one of the things that I bring up is that it was a low budget movie, but taking place in like medieval Scotland, when and they had a medieval battle scene, and what's pretty cool with that is like they didn't have a ton of people there, certainly not like anything worthy of a helicopter shot, but they had these big ass fog machines going and just obscuring everything. And so you'll see shadows of like stunt guys just doing basic choreography while Christopher Lambert is, like wandering around looking for someone to fight. And they use their budget and their atmosphere to their advantage. And that's the kind of thing with, I think, lower budget filmmaking that, incorporate your low budget artistically. Because, I mean, you watch the movie, its budget doesn't necessarily show, because you're like, okay, we got these cool, beautiful Scottish locations and like some castles and, like pretty elaborate sword fights here and there. And a film that does show its low budget but was just so damn good that I watch it regularly is, The Evil Dead, of course. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, it definitely shows in the acting and stuff that, okay, I think that filmmakers, and I'm guilty of this too when I was younger, you have no idea what good acting is when you're in your 20s trying to make a movie. It's, yep, it definitely was. Apparently medieval low budget has become the sub-theme of this movie, or of this panel.
More than 3. 3 is the number.
Okay, you have seen that one, Greg.
Yes.
You say me.
Yeah, it's like, and I'm thinking pretty much with filmmaking and doing, because I like to make genre movies, and the thing is, I don't make them just to sell. There's got to be something, more to it. Otherwise, I get bored really easily. Like I like the filmmakers that have. I mean, you don't even need to have a big message to it. I think as long as your heart's into it, you can always tell. I'll give a movie a pass of like, kind of like the Corman Fantastic Four movie. They were all trying so hard.
Was it the most recent one?
No, this is like the film that Marvel tried to hide from the 90s.
Yeah, I've seen some terrible movies. I haven't seen the original, not the original. I haven't seen the last Fantastic Four movie that just came out, like a couple of years ago. That
movie is so sad because like there's a part of it if you just say, okay, it's an adaptation of the Ultimates, you can get into it kind of like, okay, I see where they're going, and then then you can tell just the studio reshoots made everything worse. And I mean, it is fun to watch Kate Mara's wig change. It's kind of like, I really did not like the Justice League movie, but I did like doing reshoot spotting.
I can tell where his mustache was still. Like yeah, but the new version won't have that. So
yeah, I'm curious about that, mainly because I'm a huge fan of Darkseid. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, we'll get to see him. And I've been thinking about
the Flash run weird, but I could put everything beside that.
Yeah,
He's got it.
Yeah, and I'm just
I
like,
had superpowers, so I forgot how to run.
the thing is, I'm like, when the TV show gets it more right, the TV show from the '90s gets it more right than your movie.
For real, though,
yeah. And I would say, okay, so to get a little back more into filmmaking, because I can just nerd out on topics.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree. Henry Cavill was better in Witcher. Okay, so if you're going to write this project yourself, I would say at least write an outline. Like if you say, okay, I think I have a good story idea, but I am lousy at dialogue, which I think behooves someone like George Lucas, who, I think he understands a lot about a good story and what makes it work, but then he writes that monologue about sand, and you're like, okay, you know what? Yeah, maybe not, and it's like the best way I think to learn dialogue is really just to either eavesdrop on people, and there is an anecdote I'm going to share here because it is so great and I have no idea where to put it in a story, but you hear these things in real life and then you have to start asking questions of like, let's follow this person, what's going on, in their lives. But like, okay, so a couple of years ago I was doing some shopping and I hear this guy and he is like, top of his lungs yelling into his cell phone. And he was saying, I don't care about anything else. Me. Okay, immediately stakes are set. This person is on the edge. And he has literally put himself on death ground, in story terms, like there's no going back. And then he yells louder than the traffic. I'm not going to it's like, that bitch is not getting my Tupperware. And I stopped thinking, this is movie worthy. I've got to find out what the hell happened to either make that Tupperware so valuable or what was I'm thinking, did you lose custody of the kids maybe? And Tupperware is all you have. I don't even know. But that is just like one of my favorite things. And I'm saying it here now because I want somebody to mark these words when the Tupperware Avenger or whatever comes out. You heard it here first, people. But yeah, when you're writing your outline, of course, start off with the Tupperware equivalent line, because at that point you've kind of got to keep watching, at least for like 10 minutes, hoping like, what else is going on here with this character? But I say write it keeping in mind of like beginning, middle, and 3-act structure and things like that. I don't really want to get into that because you guys, I'm sure, have interviewed a lot of other really fantastic writers. That sounded presumptuous, like I'm a fantastic writer. You've interviewed other writers, I'm sure, but I'd say like when you're keeping your outline, don't be married to it when it eventually goes to script form. Because then if you're doing your job as a creator and really embodying these characters as a writer, they're going to start telling you things that like, no, they wouldn't say this, like they wouldn't say this, they wouldn't behave like this. And so they're like, okay, well, if that messes up your outline but makes a better script, just learn to roll with it. And another quick thought, too, about that is I keep the characters super vague in my outlines because eventually, it's going to go to casting, but I have no idea who's going to be playing the part at that point. Like, I have a ton of actor friends. I want to work with them all the time in every project. That being said, though, it's like I'm not assuming like, oh, so-and-so is going to be this character and so-and-so is going to be that character. I try to keep it like gender neutral, age neutral, body type neutral, and things like that. and race neutral, just because you can get so much freedom with that character. And then when you eventually, at least my process, you work with an actor on the part and then say, okay, it's kind of like passing the baton. Like, here's how I saw the character. Now you're living it. So what can you do? So what are you going to do with the part now? And I've had actors say, hey, this doesn't feel right. Can I say it like this? I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not Shakespeare here, so, you know. I mean, the only time I could see objecting is like, well, I don't like the way my character is portrayed here. That may come off like a villain. Me, you're the villain of the piece. Yeah, but this line's sexist. Yes, you're trying to illustrate that it's bad. But yeah, those are thoughts. And then I would say, yeah, after scripting, casting and crewing up is important, of course. And I'm in that quandary of like when they say don't cast your friends. Yeah, definitely cast. So if your friends don't fit the role, I made a mistake early on of promising people roles, and then, you know, friendships were tested. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, it doesn't work out for you anymore. So, you know, it's like, hey, live and learn. I make mistakes, so you don't have to, ideally. I mean, if you've heard this and you still do, then you kind of deserve it.
Yeah, like the characters in our comics, a bunch are based off of people I know. So, like, they wouldn't, if we make a movie one day or a show, those people aren't going to play those characters. So I'm going to have to, like, cast people.
Yeah. Yeah. But the thing is, then that character will evolve from there, you know? Yeah. It's like, you know, you've got
are usually different. Like that's why they don't feel like they're like everyone's always like, oh, it's not just like the comics. It's like, go ahead and find a cookie cutter Captain America. Like, it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to be able to find somebody who's identical to what the comic was because it's a fictional character.
And not only that, too, you come into it with your own lens and your own interpretation. Like, I like Chris Evans a lot as Captain America. You know, I think he does a great job he has like just that right level of earnestness, but not naivete. Like, I don't think Captain America is dumb, but I just think that he wants to believe people are better than they actually are. Yeah. And I think that if that's what they're going for with that version of the character, that's great. They never had him say Hail Hydra. That is even better. But I think, yeah, with when directing actors, a mistake I see a lot of people making is they put it's like they try to direct each word, and I was guilty of that too in film school. Meaning, if the line is like just like, I don't trust you, like going up to saying like, put an emphasis on don't, then have a pause, and say as a whisper, trust you. And so your poor actor is having to parrot that line, and I'm thinking, okay, but if the actor's impulse is to just say it like a normal human being, you know, you've done a great job squashing that. So I like to allow a lot of freedom on sets, even though, as I said, yeah, not micromanaging.